Welcome back, Calculus. I hope you're well. I'm going to talk to you about how to differentiate trigonometric functions other than sine and cosine and just go through a few examples in this video. So this is our first example. I want you to find the equation of a line tangent to the graph f of x is equal to cotangent of x at x is equal to pi over 4. This is example 3.43 in your textbook. So the first thing we're going to need is we need the point on the tangent line. Where x equals pi over 4. So we take f of pi over 4 to get our y coordinate, because we already have our x coordinate. So we plug that in to find y, and we get the cotangent of pi over 4, which is equal to 1. So the point that we're looking at is the point pi over 4, comma 1. And we need the slope. We're going to use a point and slope to come up with a line here. And to find the slope, that's where the derivative comes in. So we have f of x equals the cotangent of x. And we're going to take the derivative of that function. So using our definition from theorem 3.9, we know that the derivative of cotangent is equal to negative cosecant squared of x. So to find the slope at that particular point where x is equal to pi over 4, we plug in f prime at pi over 4, and that's going to give us negative cosecant squared at pi over 4, and that's going to give us negative 2. So that's going to be our slope. So now we have our point, pi over 4, comma 1, and we have our slope, negative 2. We can use the point slope formula and plug in what we need to do here. So the slope is negative 2, that goes here. Our x coordinate is pi over 4, that goes here. Our y coordinate is 1, that goes here. So let's do that. So we have y minus 1 equals negative 2 times x minus pi over 4. And we want to give our answer in slope-intercept form. So we'll go ahead and distribute. And we have y minus 1 equals negative 2x plus pi over 2. Add 1 to each side. We get y is equal to negative 2x plus pi over 2 plus 1. And that is our final answer. So that was our first example. I'm going to do another quick one that involves some trig functions, and also it involves the product rule. So I want us to find the derivative of f of x equals cosecant of x plus x tan x. So we're going to have to use the product rule here because I've got the product of x and tangent of x. Here we're just going to have to remember what the derivative of the cosecant of x is. So make sure you've got your theorem 3.9 handy and that you're working on memorizing those, okay? Because I really promise you it's worth your time. So here we have our derivative, f prime of x. So first we take the derivative of the part in red, cosecant of x. And the derivative of cosecant of x is defined to be negative cosecant x cotangent x. And then we have to take the derivative of our second term, which involves the product rule. So the product rule says I take first the derivative of the blue function, which is 1, times the yellow function, tangent of x. Then I add to that the blue function, x, times the derivative of the yellow function, tangent of x, which is defined to be secant squared x. So this is our derivative. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit. We get f prime of x equals negative cosecant x, cotangent x, plus tangent x, plus secant squared x. And that's our derivative. Great. Oops, I dropped my x. X secant squared x. That blue x was supposed to come down with us. Glad I looked at that answer again. Okay, so I'm going to do one more example. This is actually checkpoint 3.29 in your textbook. So we want to find the derivative of the following function. F of x equals 2 tangent of x minus 3 cotangent of x. And so f prime of x, I'm going to take the derivative of the term in blue and the derivative of the term in red. So for the term in blue, I'm going to have 2 times the derivative of whatever the derivative of tangent of x is, which hopefully we remember, we've written on our hearts that the derivative of tangent of x is secant squared of x. Then I'll subtract the derivative of the function in red, which will be 3 multiplied by whatever the derivative of cotangent of x is, which may be written on your hearts as negative cosecant squared of x. And then we'll simplify a little bit further. F prime of x equals 2 secant squared x plus 3 cosecant squared x. And that would be our final derivative right there.